Good afternoon and welcome again to the Sunday Spin, brought to you live every Sunday at 4 p.m. here on the West Coast, 7 on the East Coast. Without further ado, I want to give you my partner in crime, the man with the mission. Greno, how are you this afternoon?
Doing great, man. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We got an awesome special guest today. Want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Grooves Records in San Francisco and also What's Left Records here in Colorado Springs. We couldn't do what we do without you. But man, this red-haired gent right here, man, this guy is a musical magpie. He's done so much different kinds of music, and also not only on the musical end, but producing. He's been immersed in wonderful music for a long time. Rafter, how the heck are you, my friend?
Hey, my guy. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm building a new recording studio right now and just kind of putting finishing touches on things. So up until I dialed into this, I was polyurethaning racks and adjusting caster wheels and stuff like that. It's that stage of the process.
Wow.
Power washing milk crates, the glamorous life.
Well, I got to tell you, Rafter, I love the ambiance beside you. And from all appearances, it looks like a studio already.
It is.
So you've done a good job.
Yeah. Like the guts are all done. The doors shut, and then you don't hear anything outside. The acoustics are all treated nicely. There's a lot of stuff inside that I still gotta do. I think I have to solder something like 1,750 various little wire-to-wire connections before every part of this room talks to this room, talks to the main hall over there, and gets to the bathroom back. But it's all fun work to do and a total privilege, So I'm stoked, and I've got a place to play drums at 2 a.m, and it's not going to bother anybody. So, what more can you want?
Super exciting, very exciting, my friend. Wow. So we got Vin. I want to have you go ahead and start, because we always start from the beginning with people, and then you coin it so elegantly every week. So why don't we just get started with this party as best we can with Rafter, man?
It'd be my honor, buddy. But yeah, we always start from square one, and we like to ask this question to all our guests. First musical memory that you have, Rafter. Doesn't even necessarily have to be wrapped around an instrument or anything like that, but the first memory of music. How old were you, and could you tell us a little bit about it, please?
Yeah, well, let me think. That's it. That's really interesting. So I grew up kind of hippie Northern California style, no electricity. So that means there weren't stereos. You might hear like the radio in the car or something like that. And if you were lucky, you would get like some batteries for a little, cassette player or something. So I didn't get a lot of access to a ton of music until I was like, started to be a little bit older and got my first boombox. But I think that the real like, I remember that's a mix. I think I remember being really little, and I was on this one nasty couch in the living room, and my parents' friend Jerry was over. He was this like 7-foot tall river rafting dude, and he was like, Rafter, I think I get a feeling you'd like this, and so I'm gonna give this to you. And he gave me a cassette tape of Dark Side of the Moon, and I was real little, but like I was like, okay, thanks, and I listened to it and just like had a psychedelic explosion in my mind. That was a pretty mind-blowing thing to have that shared with me when I was super young. But then I don't know, I also remember like being like almost too young to like soak it in, but like going and seeing like the Who and Pink Floyd and the Rolling Stones. I had some older brothers and sisters who would, buy tickets to the Oakland Coliseum and, take me down to see, I think I saw like Dylan and the Dead, where that was just terrible. Like they didn't do each other any favors, I think.
I saw that too, Rafter. I saw that tour. Probably the same show, actually.
I think it probably was.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me. But I think it worked for the guy who was next to me with his like, pants around his ankles doing the like, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of really young, like really young music memories. Devo and Gang of Four and stuff like that, all coming from my older brother. But yeah, but really that Pink Floyd cassette. Totally.
Wow, what a fantastic answer too. And really, I really want to give your friend who had the foresight to turn you on to that at such a young age. Jerry,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah. It says so much about where you were then.
Yeah, it was a tremendously kind gesture. And I felt like and I felt really like respected by him, where, I think growing up in my family, I don't think anybody really was that like thoughtful that often, but he was really thoughtful, and that made me feel like it was an invitation into a world, and like, truly that record is amazing, and especially when you're a kid and you just like, I don't know, it's a whole universe to step into,
You're much more impressionable at
Yeah.
that age, I might add. And
Totally.
the creative mind isn't bogged down with the things that come along later in life.
For sure.
And it allows you to really appreciate that. It really says a lot about your creative intelligence, though, that you were able to pick up on that at such a young age, because frankly, I didn't.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, I liked my rock and roll as well, and I loved my classic rock, but Pink Floyd, Zeppelin, for a young guy, a little heady for me. That had to grow, and I had to mature maybe a little bit with my musical taste, but you really got a bump start.
I did, and I have an older brother who is, I think, 13 years older than I am, and so he was super into all the sort of new wave, no wave, and punk stuff from the late 70s and early 80s, and so I got my Nina Hagen on, and I got my Residents. Like I knew that the Beatles were awesome, and I also knew the Residents were awesome. I didn't really know that there was like a huge difference, in their impact, because to me, I was like, I'm hearing all this stuff. I'm hearing, Nina Hagen and Kraftwerk and Gang of Four, but I'm also hearing Jimi Hendrix and and the Who and Pink Floyd and the Beatles and the Stones and all the things. It kind of like, I was too young to understand, like, to piece it together in the context of history, and so it just kind of all just soaked in a really pleasant way.
Really, and I think at that age, really, if you can be an antenna, so to speak, and pull in the environment around you, it allows you the opportunity to say where it falls into your tastes or preferences. And
totally.
The more well-rounded, the better, and the younger the age, the better. Do you think it helped you become a musician like you are today?
For sure, yeah. It helped me become totally schizophrenic and stupid in all my favorite ways.
Well, welcome to the club, right?
Yeah, totally.
Speaking of your music, Rafter, that's kind of the link between us. That's how we met.
Yeah.
And back in, I would say, what, 93 maybe?
Yeah, 93 sounds about right. 92, 93.
Something like that. And man, what a great time for music, to be doing music. And you were just getting kind of your wings at that point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
A lot of home recording. The famous Rafter's bedroom recordings. I mean, they're awesome. So many, and I have a couple things, relics.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's Rafter's first album for Mermaid.
Yeah, love it. With
Structure,
featuring me as in drag at age.
Yes.
I don't know.
Like a really just cool. Let's see. There we go. Cool packaging. Just super awesome. You actually did a trilogy of records for us, meaning Shaggy and I, Eric Shaggy, the Watch Winds Down, and then the Tumwater.
Yeah.
I adore.
I love all those records. Those are so much fun.
They are great records, and just for those that maybe didn't know, you went that far back with some of the cassette-only releases. Yeah. Talk about that process for you, because again, now you've been a studio engineer, produced music, done so much of an immense body of work since then. But talk about those innocent days and just those days, just how you just got started and what that was like.
Well, I think it was just like for a lot of people in sort of like this sort of window of ages, the revolutionary impact of 4-track recording is just huge, just
Yes.
beyond huge, and just like the most simple things that you might take for granted of just be like, I can do a thing and then I can also do another thing. Wait, get the fuck, you know? Um, and so I think yeah, just having the ability to overdub, just in the same way that it was revolutionary in the 50s and 60s, like when Joe Meek or whatever was like fucking around with like going from one machine to the other, and Bauer Phil Spector just bouncing back and forth, stacking things up. Like it was truly revolutionary, and still is, even though the technology is just so ridiculously accessible now. It really is a bit of like true magic to be able to like take separate moments from time and put them together, to be. And so there's still, to me, there's just a real excitement there, even as simple as like you just like record hand claps and then you record another hand claps and you're like, wow, it sounds different now. Like there's a simple magic to it, and I'm not bored of it uh still. um at that time though, I think like I was super, super naive, which is great and super exciting. I remember like I wanted to learn about recording. And so I bought a book from the bookstore and I would read about what a compressor was and what it did. I didn't have a compressor and I didn't know like how to identify things that I had heard before that were compressed. So I would read it and try to imagine it and read it and try to imagine it. It's just like a lot of fantasy. And I think that's really, really fun and really cool. For me, it helped me just like do the work of writing that is going like just like inhabiting your fantasy world and just getting down with it and hanging out in there. And so while those a lot of those early records like have rough edges, I still just like there's so much excitement involved in making them, in all of it. And
Yes.
yeah, it's super, super, super fun.
I remember you were recording on a reel-to-reel 4-track as well, which for that time is pretty unconventional.
Well, because I didn't even know there were cassette 4-tracks. I didn't know how you would get one. I think I saw one at somebody's house once, but my parents knew I wanted to do some recording, and they heard that the guy at the paint store had a reel-to-reel 4-track, and so they're like, "Well, we got this 4-track for you from the guy at the paint store," and
Oh man!
and it was like a big old R2D2 looking TAC 2340A.
Yeah.
And that thing, and it sounded great. The thing is, like, it doesn't have a mixer, like with 4-tracks like that. It's just like, so then we had to figure out a mixer. I think my friend Mark got a mixer at the swap meet or something, and we just started fucking around. But yeah, it was definitely not like the sort of entrance that you really could or would even have anymore, but it was really neat. It was neat to learn how to just work with tracks, to learn how to like, okay, I'm recording this band, and so in order to be able to get the horns tracked, well, we're gonna have to like get our bass and drums onto one track together, and all these things that now given the perspective of time, you realize, oh, that actually glues stuff together and sounds really good. But for a long time, it was just like, well, no, if we don't have the hi-hat on its own channel, then what are we even doing here?
Right.
Yeah, so it working with 4-track stuff really hit me to a lot of. It just was a really great education and something that I still incorporate into my, new modern life. I have 5 tracks now. That's like it's a lot.
It's so true what you said, Rafter, about the beginnings and technology, and how taken for granted it really is, and how accessible it is to you if you don't keep your head in the sand. And a couple of old swashbucklers like Greno and myself, I tell this story all the time. It's highly embarrassing now, but my first electric guitar got plugged into my home stereo.
Yeah. And that shit sounded good, dude.
Yeah, and I recorded off that, and that was my recording. Hell, one track, it was half a track.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, now people come to me with terms like compression and okay, It is. It's exciting, and I'm learning all the time, you know. And the beauty of the show is we get to swap these war stories. But yeah, passing out the cassettes at lunchtime, right?
Hell yeah! I
Hot off
remember
the presses.
going to the Tower Records outlet and buying up their casingles, because they would just be like 5-cent casingles, you know.
Yeah.
And I would just, you know, buy a trash bag full of casingles and then like go and take the, you know, Xerox some art to wrap around the cardboard shell and get some stickers to put on the thing, and just, you know, one song each side. I've got a single, I'm going to sell it for $0.25. I'm making 5 times the profit right there, you know. Bought it for 5 cents, selling it for 25.
It's a new whack ass bitch single, baby.
Oh, there aren't. There's a record that needs to get finished, but yeah, we did like several cassette singles that way. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
that was a real precious
harkens
thing.
Back to the age, and that's the most beautiful thing about it. And you know, if you're a part of indie rock, God, that's what we're still doing.
Yeah,
you know, it's what we're always going to be doing. It's just the playing field has changed, certainly, but yeah, we're still, you know, making 5 cents off the quarter. You know, and yeah, scheming and, you know, going to the Price Club, buying the 10 packs of the TDKs.
Yeah, so it's the way to go.
Music. Yeah, it's an unforgettable story though. And were you lucky enough to do that in Southern California as well, or did that mainly stick to, you know, the early beginnings in Northern California for you?
I think when I got here, yeah, that was 98, and so CDR technology was taken off. So people would make like handmade runs of CDRs, because that was, you know, you could make them, because do you remember what a magical thing it was when you're like, it burns at 4 speed?
Yeah,
you know, it burns at 10 speed now, like, you know. And so you could dupe a lot more CDRs faster than you could, like, I finally got rid of my dubbing deck for making cassette releases like a couple of years ago, you know. I think one side of it broke or something, but like but yeah, when I moved down here, then it was like short runs of CDRs or vinyl, you know, like tons of bands I would do stuff with would do records, or CDs, you know. It was like the early 2000s, it was 1,000 CDs for $1,000, you know. How can you beat that? And now it just doesn't even, at least to me, with the amount of music that I like to record and put out, it doesn't even make sense to make physical items, because if I don't want to have cardboard boxes full of stuff hanging around just waiting to someday get sold or go to the landfill. I'm just like, I will Bandcamp it up, DistroKit it up, and then just I really miss the rough and handmade quality of you know, pre-streaming music releases, like, because I love like some hand colored stuff. I love to like, but it's not time for that anymore, at least for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I want to ask you too, so kind of after, you know, we moved apart, I guess you had moved to Southern California, and then I ended up in Colorado, but you hooked up with a record label called Asthmatic Kitty.
That's right, yeah.
And you produced quite a few albums, starting with the music for Total Chickens, which is one I adore. And just talk about that, a little bit about that journey for some folks.
That was a really interesting thing, and they're super incredible people. How did that happen? I think that I started producing records for bands on their label and did a few. I think I did the first Castanets record, and that was really, really fun. Came out super, super good. There was a little known guy named Sufjan Stevens that known, you know, for like 10 people, and he, you know, and I'd help him with his records. I think on like 3 of his albums.
A little delay there, folks. Oh, that technology. You're hanging out on the Sunday Spin. Rafter is frozen in time for the moment. And
He is a handsome lad, isn't he?
There we go. I'm back.
Yes.
Okay, so you can see here's the furniture that I was making today.
Nice.
Yeah. So let's see. I came to a different room because I think the Wi-Fi is maybe bad over there. Or not bad. I don't know. We're working out the kinks. Anyways, I don't know where I got left off, but I was making records for artists on their label, and then they heard an album that I had recorded and offered to put it out. And we started talking about more records. I think I ended up putting out six albums on their label, maybe 7 of stuff that was my own band's.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to move back into the other room and we'll see if we survive it. And it was really great. I had reservations about being involved with anything that was Christian adjacent, because that label did have some Christian associations, and I'm a lifelong terrified of organized religion type person. But there were a bunch of really kind and generously sensitive and talented people involved, and I never felt like that was a problem. So I was really stoked on it.
Yeah.
There was super kind, and I got to work on so many of their artists would come out to San Diego and live here for a few weeks and make an album. And David Stith is a super talented, amazing guy. I got to make a few records with him, and Canadian band Shapes and Sizes. We did a couple of records, and they're just so talented and fantastic. All the Sufjan stuff I got to work on was really, really fun. What else is on that label? A lot of Castanets records we did. I think we did 5 or something like that. Always really fun. But yeah, they're a great label, and still kicking ass. I feel like they've honed in a little bit more on their core audience of singer-songwriter kind of and Sufjan related type stuff, which I think makes sense because financially, they were just putting out a bunch of really eclectic stuff that probably wasn't helping pay the bills much.
Right. Absolutely. So, Rad Laser Records, is that your own label?
It is. Yeah. That's my own imprint. That's Rad Laser, my wife and myself. And so,
that's awesome.
Everything we do these days is just Rad Laser, whether it's the soup that I make, well, that's a pot of Rad Laser soup, or a record we put out. Our studio is called Rad Laser, etc. Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, folks, you can check out on the bottom there. We got a couple links for you. You can check out radlaserrecords.com and then rafter.bandcamp.com. Boy's got a lot of music out there, folks. I want to talk about a little bit about that collaboration that you just finished up. The Frankly Frankie, is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a Frankenstein nod, because I always had this sort of fantasy. I think in the last 4 years, I think I've released something like 14 albums, maybe 15.
It's astounding, my friend.
There's a truly ongoing list. Yeah, well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's such a joy to be able to do that. But I have a sort of ongoing fantasy list of albums to make in my head, and that's how I can make stuff quickly, is because there's always it would be cool if and then fill in the blank.
Yeah.
With this one, I love that that experimental art game, not Oblique Strategies, Exquisite Corpse, right? Yeah. Where you take fold the piece of paper in thirds, and somebody draws the head, somebody draws the torso and arms, somebody draws the legs, and then you unfold it and you go, look at this thing. And I had this fantasy forever about, well, how would you even do that with music, right? And I never thought about it deeply enough to develop a strategy until I was in conversation with my friend Dex, who's this abstract expressionist painter dude from the UK. We were just, I don't even know how it came up, but we just started just shooting off ideas about how would you do Exquisite Corpse with music. And so we came up with this idea of if we just pick a we tried it with, I think, three different BPMs and like temp speeds and keys. And so it was like, you know, F sharp minor, 125 beats per minute. And so each of us would make like 4 to 10 elements that were in that tempo and in that key, and they could go together or not. It was just like raw material, right? And then without hearing what the other person did of those 4 elements, so you know, one might be like a hand clap, and one might be a weird synthesizer, and one might be the sound of the dogs barking outside. It doesn't matter. It's just noise, right? And then we shared using the Google Drive, like shared, you know, everything that we'd made for that specific BPM and tempo, and so then you've got the elements that you made, and you've got the elements the other person made without hearing each other. And then song by song, it would be like, okay, on this one, I'm going to make the intro and the choruses and the outro, and you make the verses and the bridge, right? So we just stuck with that, like Max Martin, A-B, what is it, a Babcab? A-B, A-B, C, A-B structure for everything. It was just like, okay, that's how it works. There's like, you know, there's an intro, verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, outro, done. Just to make it, I find if you work with a structural, like a, you know, constraint, it really helps a lot of the quagmire you can get into. So then I would, you know, for example, I'd be like, okay, well, I've got a first verse and I've got a second verse, and I'm going to make the bridge without knowing what's going to come, you know, in between all of these things. And so we each made our pieces, and then he would send me his bits, and I would just like, okay, well, there's nothing to do here except for just put them up against each other and see what happened, you know. And it was like we started with 3, and it was just such a fantastic surprise. It was really just like, oh, this is fucking great. These are so good. Like we were just like, well, okay, let's do a couple more. Let's do a couple more, until we were just like, okay, we've done 10. Let's just stop and just like call it a record, and then, you know, do some other projects. So it was so much fun, and like and as an experiment, I would recommend it to anybody, because it's like it's just a game, and anybody can play it, and the results are going to be so different. Like, you know, everybody who plays the Exquisite Corpse game is going to have their own set of surprises, and your drawing's going to come out just like you would do a drawing, but also totally different because you did it in a blind way with somebody else that you're collaborating with. So super, super fun. And I'm sure that I know that there's other ways to do Exquisite Corpse with music. Like I, you know, after we finished it, I was like, I wonder how other people have approached this. And so I found other people who were like, okay, they would like, you would hear the last like second of what somebody did and pick it up from there, you know? But it was just like a really fun and challenging experiment to do, and it came out really neat. Like I love the record. It's like a psychedelic, like dream, like a technologically strange psychedelic dream to me.
Yeah, it's excellent.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, G, but to me it sounds like a musical relay race.
Oh yeah, totally. It's just like
if you can really appreciate the passing of the baton being that last note that Rafter described so well. Yeah, you drop the baton, the race is over, right, Rafter?
Yeah, totally.
Wow, what great insight, huh, Grano? Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, buddy.
No, I love the record, and Rafter, yeah, it's astounding, my friend. The quality of your work, and also the intricate nature of your songwriting. I mean, there is a lot going on with your songs. Like multiple listenings is a great reward. And you know, I'm that kind of audiophile. You both know that. So that's one thing I really enjoy about your music is like, I'm like, damn, he packed like in 45 seconds. He packed like, no, you can do it. Like that's a rare feat. The things that you're able to accomplish, and all the colors that you bring in, and similar to how a chef works, in my opinion.
Great analogy.
The right colors and the right flavors for the right times, and it could be just one little glockenspiel thing that you do, or a backing vocal that you tie in. But
yeah,
your production ethic is unparalleled, my friend, and I'm just so proud to know you and to see how far you've come since those days that when we were all so young.
Yeah, I know. Just some little dirty punk kids.
Right.
Now we're just like dirty punk adults.
Hey man, Forestville, right? The Forestville Market.
That's
And
the one.
What was the coffee shop across the street that we used to play at?
Ooh.
Something ground. Remember 3 Mile Pilot?
Yeah. No, I remember. Yeah, 3 Mile Pilot played there. Yeah, we did a
show with them actually. Remember, it was the Mermaid Traveling Show.
Yep.
So you and I and Eric and
yeah. No, that was awesome. Yeah, no, it's a trip. It totally is. I feel the same. I feel like just a privilege to know you, and I just love lifers. I love it, like this, like music and a deep and like respectful and enthusiastic relationship with it. Isn't a phase for a lot of us. It's like it's a marriage. It's a lifer. Like you are a lifer, and I'm a lifer. Like it's not going to stop. Like I'm not going to get to like 60 years old and be like, well, that was cool. And on my deathbed, I hope, and I would imagine that there's still just like learning I want to do, listening I want to do, like albums in my fantasy list of records that what if I made something like this, are still unfinished, but it's such a wonderfully privileged life to get to live, just where we have like the mental and emotional and like physical, financial, everything space to be able to care about and engage with music and art with such depth and like endurance. Like fuck, so good.
We're too old to join the circus and too young to be Walmart greeters. That's what I tell everybody when they ask me why I'm a guitar player. So, but no, I mean, what you just said, Rafter, about the community and the longevity of it, and I love the word he used. He said long timers and not old timers. Thank you, Rafter, from a long timer. Yeah,
totally.
Hey,
Rafter, you know what?
I'm sorry.
As old and grizzled as the three of us are, like I will have peers who are not in their mid 90s, who are similar. They're just music lifers, and when I'm doing music stuff with them, it's the same as when I'm doing stuff with with a teenager who's just like, you can tell the fire's there, the excitement's there, and yeah, we're not old timers, and even the 95-year-old dudes and women are not. It's just like you're a lifer. It's just that's it. You are, it's beautiful.
Truly, and well spoken. Yeah. We want to give you the opportunity to give you your shout outs. It's very important to us, Rafter, and we're coming up on it. So we want to give you the opportunity to send some love out to the people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love you, people. I don't need to do any shout outs. Everybody is a magical unicorn to me. I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for you guys for hanging out and talking for a few. It's really nice. It's great to connect with humans.
Yeah.
Likewise. And the door's always open here. We always say that, but yeah, you're more than welcome to come back. Congratulations on the studio. It's beautiful. And being that I'm in the San Diego area, I really can't wait to see it in person. So
awesome.
I hope you'll give me a shout at the grand opening for sure.
Totally. It's getting close. I mean, it's going to be in phases because this is a 6,000 square foot warehouse. So like,
I was going to ask about the square footage. It does seem very big, warehouse type big. And that's very exciting from guys who play in closets.
So it's so exciting. I mean, the only way we could get this was buying something that was total garbage. And so we did, we bought a property that was total garbage in a area of the city that has yet to be gentrified, and so that's the only way it happens. And so little by little, we're just scraping the crust off of it and turning it into our art castle. So yeah, I'm stoked.
San Diego could definitely use another recording studio, Rafter. I'm wishing you the very best. And like I said, I can't wait to see it in person. I really can't, brother. Thanks for joining us today, Rafter. We really want to thank you. I know it's hard on a Sunday. Glad you could get the break from doing your epoxy work or whatever else you have to do there. But thanks for joining us on the spin, Rafter.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see you guys. And Glenn, it's great to see your face. Vinny, it's great to meet you.
Thank you, sir. And like I said, I can't wait for the official grand opening. You know I'll be there. So
beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, maybe we can bring the spin along. That would be really fun to do a little, on site with the spin.
Yeah, you could do a little like, totally. That would be awesome.
That would be really.
We would love to do that, Rafter.
Yeah, Rafter, again, thank you so much. Hey, I just want to say to everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Sunday Spin. We do this every Sunday, 4 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern. And next week, we got some more San Diego legends in the house. The one, the only, the incomparable barefoot hockey goalie. Yep, Tony Accarelli, Blair Hatch. Man, so Vinny, get ready because there's going to be a lot of shenanigans. You think
1, 2, 3 AARP, huh?
I'm telling you. So especially with Blair, it's going to get crazy. So yeah, join us then. And then, man, we got a great month next month, including Dave Markey, killer filmmaker of Desperate Teenage Love Dolls, The Year That Punk Broke. So many people. And then Vinny, we're hanging out at Grooves Records on Halloween Day. So yeah. So you guys keep the faith. We love you. And Rafter, again, you're an inspiration, my brother. Keep making those great records. It's awesome. Yes. You're on a roll, baby. Keep
Follow
going.
The link, guys. Follow the link.
Absolutely. And we'll see you guys next week. Technicolor Dreams. If you haven't subscribed, shame on you. You need to do that. All right. We love you. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Awesome.